Listen closely, because this isn't just another video you stumbled on. Something deeper pulled your attention here, and you can feel it even if you can't explain it yet. There's a reason your heart slowed down for a second, a reason your thoughts paused. What you've been carrying has not gone unseen, not the quiet struggles, not the hidden exhaustion, not the prayers you almost gave up on. And right now, something is shifting in your favor. Okay? The heaviness that followed you for so long is reaching its limit. That pressure that settled into your mind, your rest, even your confidence, is not permanent. It felt endless, but it was never designed to stay. You were not abandoned in those moments. There were things happening beyond what you could measure. Doors were closing without your effort. Situations were being redirected without your awareness. What you thought was delay was actually protection unfolding in real time. The stillness you wrestled with was not empty. It was preparation. The parts of your life that felt paused were being aligned. The pain cut deep, yes, but it does not get to decide your identity or your outcome. What drained you is losing its grip, and what nearly overwhelmed you will not define your future. There's a truth that has carried people through their lowest points. The presence of God is closest when the heart feels most broken. And even when nights feel long, they do not last forever. Joy is not a myth. It arrives sometimes quietly, but always on time. What's happening now is not just relief. It's restoration. It's clarity returning. It's strength rebuilding in places that once felt empty. You're not being pushed forward blindly. You're being led into a version of yourself that can actually hold what's coming next. Sometimes growth comes through silence, where everything slows down and you learn to listen differently. Those seasons teach patience and awareness, but then there are moments when everything interrupts at once. Your routine shifts. Your thinking changes. Something inside you wakes up, not to confuse you, but to reposition you. This is one of those moments. You didn't land here by accident. Timing like this doesn't happen randomly. What you went through was not wasted time. It was doing work within you that could not be rushed. Even the parts that made no sense were shaping something meaningful. The truth is, nothing was denied. It was being developed where you couldn't yet see it, and now, something within you is ready. Ready to understand what once felt confusing. Ready to carry what once felt too heavy. The version of you that exists now is not the same one that entered that difficult season. Pain by itself doesn't hold value, but what comes from it can. It can be reshaped into wisdom, into strength, into direction. Even the hardest chapters can become part of something good when they're placed in the right hands. Let this settle for a moment. What you went through had boundaries. It was never meant to last forever. There is always a point where struggle ends and restoration begins. Look at what it produced in you. You learned how to stand when everything felt unstable. You developed awareness you didn't have before. You became stronger in ways that didn't make sense at the time. What tried to break you actually built you differently, but now that chapter is closing. When pain stays too long, it stops shaping and starts taking. It drains clarity. It steals peace. And that is not where you are meant to remain. What was once allowed for growth is now being removed, so you can move freely. There were things you tried to leave behind but couldn't, patterns that repeated, situations that exhausted you. You showed up, you stayed faithful, you kept trying, and still something felt stuck. Hear this clearly. That was not your failure. There are moments when effort reaches its limit and something greater takes over. Not every battle is yours to solve. Some things shift only when a higher authority steps in. And that's exactly what's happening now. What resisted you is beginning to release you. What held on is loosening its grip. The areas where you felt powerless are being handled in ways you couldn't manage on your own. Yeah. This is not just an ending, it's a reset. Something new is forming, something clearer, something that actually fits who you are becoming. This isn't meant to give you a temporary emotional high, meant to ground you. There's a difference between something that excites you for a moment and something that holds you steady long term. Right now, you're being anchored, even if everything doesn't look complete yet. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of the most important work happens where you can't see it. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's missing. Your story is not ending in struggle. And what you've walked through is one part of a much bigger picture, and that picture is still being formed. There's a kind of strength building in you that doesn't collapse easily. It's been tested, stretched, and refined. And even now, it's still growing. But you need to recognize something important. Pain has a voice. It repeats itself. It tries to convince you that you're stuck, that you're behind, that nothing will change. And if you hear it long enough, it starts to sound like truth. But it isn't. There's another voice that doesn't compete with fear. It replaces it. It brings clarity without chaos, direction without pressure. And so take a second and be honest. When things get difficult, which voice do you follow? Because that choice shapes everything. Nothing you went through caught God off guard. Your future wasn't rewritten because of your struggles. Your purpose didn't disappear because things got hard. If anything, you were being shaped for it, and now something inside you is settling. Your thoughts are becoming quieter. The overthinking is easing. The pressure is not as constant. Your heart is remembering what peace feels like again. Not forced peace, real peace. The kind that doesn't depend on everything being perfect. This shift matters more than you think. What's happening is not surface level. It's deep, it's intentional, and it's lasting. Not everything from your past is meant to follow you forward. Some things were only there to be faced and released. Old pain is losing its control. Old fear is losing its authority. Old shame is breaking apart, because when something is truly finished, it doesn't linger, it ends, and you are stepping into something new. You are not the same person you were before all of this, and you're not going back to that version of yourself. The weight you've been carrying is being lifted. Not because it didn't matter, but because it doesn't belong where you're going. This next phase requires space. It requires clarity, it requires freedom, and it may not look dramatic. Not every breakthrough is loud. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, almost unnoticeable at first, but if you pay attention, you can feel the difference. The tension is easing, the pressure is softening, you're not as restless. That's not random, that's peace returning. And with it, clarity begins to form. Your thoughts are not as scattered. Your decisions don't feel as forced. The confusion is starting to fade. There's a quiet confidence growing inside you, and alongside it, hope is rising again. Not loud, not exaggerated, just steady. So ask yourself honestly, do you still feel completely stuck? Kanged? Or can you sense, even slightly, that something has already started to move? Because that feeling is a sign. It means the struggle is no longer in control. Your past may still exist in your memory, but it is not directing your future anymore. You are not at the end. You are at the edge of something new. What felt delayed is finding its moment. What felt blocked is beginning to open. You were never forgotten. Not in your silence, not in your confusion, not even in the moments you felt lost within yourself. Everything you went through carried purpose, even when it made no sense. What tried to bury you became the ground where your strength grew. The pressure didn't destroy you. It developed endurance. Every setback, every tear, every quiet moment where you just kept going, it all mattered. And now you move forward differently, not broken, not afraid, not carrying shame, but with depth, with awareness, with strength that only comes from making it through. What has been placed on your life is still there, untouched, unchanged. You are still guided, still supported, still moving toward what was always meant for you. And one day soon, you'll look back and see how every piece led you here. For now, hold on to hope, not as something distant, but as something already beginning inside you. And before you go, take a moment to respond to what you just heard. If this connected with you in a real way, write Amen in the comments. Not out of habit, but as a decision to step forward. And if someone you know is going through a similar season, share this with them. One message at the right time can make a difference. Stay connected if you want to keep growing like this. Keep moving one step at a time. No pressure, no rushing, because we're not waiting for change anymore. You're already in it, and what has started in your life is already unfolding